What a day. Why am I shiny? What a day. All right. Stop it. I am on a little bit early, so I'm just going to get organized while people enter the live stream. Hi. Hello. What a news day. I actually was going to talk about completely different things, and then I just had to get on Twitter and we're going to talk about it. But let me give people just a few minutes to pop on. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you had a good weekend. Yep, everything I was going to talk about is now secondary. Finally, someone is talking about this. Well, I'm going to kind of learn it with you. Oh, geez. I'm going to be sort of learning it with you. Because I was actually going to talk about different things. This is crazy. Wait, but who is Peter? Who's Peter? Steve Bannon trial next week. Ooh, that'll be really interesting. There was also some... Oh, Joe is Peter. Oh, jeez. Oh, this family. It's so crazy because, okay, what does this tweet say? So Tyler Bauer on Twitter said, to the super small group of Republicans who attacked Trump's family and character, I present you the entire next week on Twitter. He also said, remember when the left tried to falsely say that this is the kid of a wait, whoa, hold on. He wanted to testify, but Justice Department said he can't. Interesting. I'll have to look more into that. I know that trial was next week. Okay, so Tyler Bauer is saying, remember when the left tried to say falsely that this is the kid of a person Lauren Boebert was, and in reality, it is actually who the Bidens are, who are in the White House, with absolutely no reporting from reputable media. No, so the point that Tyler Bauer is making about all of this Hunter Biden stuff is that this is what they accused the Trump family of, that they were corrupt, that they were this, and that they were that. It seems as though, the Biden family is much worse than anything they ever accused Trump and his family of. Not saying they're perfect. You can't say that. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's family is perfect. All of our families have, I have family members who are alcoholics. I have family members who have been in jail. My family is not perfect. Nobody's family is perfect. But this is some next level, and this is who's in the White House. It's one thing to have an imperfect family and people that are flawed. Okay, so let's start to get into it and we have to be careful because this is developing clearly. So it says footage and screenshots started circulating online Saturday night that are reportedly from Hunter Biden's iCloud account. 4chan users claimed they hacked the first son's personal iCloud account. The Washington Examiner reported, although the source for the material has not yet been verified, Social media users have spread the explicit content across a variety of social media platforms. So that's why we have to be a little bit careful because, again, the source isn't verified and it's developing. And I just have to say that as like a responsible person. But it's going to be quite a week. It's only Monday. Several videos show Biden walking along. Several videos show Biden walking along a beach and consuming drugs in the shower with a woman who refers to him as her future baby daddy. So this is Hunter Biden. Another video purports to show Biden arguing with a prostitute about the amount of crack he had in his possession. His face for a moment, although his pose with a cigarette matches previous media. In another, Biden appears to slide naked into a pool and swim up to a woman filming him. Hunter's father, President Joe Biden, also reportedly loves to skinny dip. Author Ronald Kessler wrote in 2014, according to the Daily News. Being assigned to Joe Biden's detail is considered the second worst assignment to the Secret Service, Kessler wrote at the time. The leak also included a series of text messages allegedly from Biden, which suggests that he and his father own a number of guns and that he stole upwards of $100,000 from his ex-wife. Breitbart News reporter Wendell Hasibo shared a screenshot of what he claimed was in contact in Hunter Biden's phone, listed as, they always accuse you of what they are doing. It's so much projection. So much. All of it. Okay. So, Bright News reporter Wendell Hasibo shared a screenshot of what he claimed was a contact in Hunter Biden's phone listed as Pedo Peter. Another user alleged that the contact card belonged to President Joe Biden due to his previous use of the fake name Peter Henderson. This is the weirdest family. If this stuff is true, if all of this is true, this is seriously the weirdest. Y'all just wait. Hunter is about to get discovered now that his Peter thing is out in the open. Joe is about to say he's back on that powder and throw him into rehab faster than Kim did Kanye, Spicer wrote. 4chan administrators responded to the leak by removing various threads containing the content, according to the Washington Examiner. Okay. It's still trending on Twitter right now. Hunter Biden and Biden crime family is trending. So this obviously isn't the last we're going to hear about this. Hi. Gotta love 4chan. Yeah. So that's developing. That's what we know so far. I have a feeling that's definitely not the last of it. Just as Tyler Bauer said. What did he say? Tyler Bauer, to the super small group of Republicans who attacked Trump's family and character, I present you the entire next week of Twitter. Hi. Okay, this is from MSN.com. Well, they're reporting on it. 4chan explodes after user allegedly cracks Hunter Biden's iCloud. A user on 4chan claims to have hacked the iCloud of Hunter Biden's latest iPhone, sending the site into a tizzy as users trawled through the data dump. In the post, the user said that they gained access to voicemails, videos, voice recordings, pictures, etc. of Joe. They also said they'd comprised an iPad belonging to him as well. In the thread, the user also linked to a list of passwords supposedly used by Hunter Biden. The news exploded on 4chan with posters attempting to find whatever they could in the data, which some allege included additional photos of Hunter using drugs, doing things with women, and conducting lurid searches on sexy sites. The frenzy is similar to the uproar over Hunter Biden's laptop, which was released. The iPhone release, however, is allegedly different from the data on Hunter's laptop. As they sourced the data, 4chan users thought they uncovered President Joe Biden's number, which they claim Hunter had him listed under Pete. While there's no proof to back it up, Biden did allegedly go by Peter Henderson in contact with his son. According to one unverified claim, 4chan users are sending the phone number allegedly belonging to President Biden memes. The White House did not immediately respond to a request for comment. It is unclear whether the data released is real, while Hunter Biden's old laptop and the information within has essentially been verified. The images and video released were immediately pushed by some of the biggest disinformation peddlers on the media, raising initial questions about the veracity. You know what? And I already know that. I already know how, messed up Hunter Biden is and just how odd and messed up the family is. What I would be more interested in finding out are their dealings with Ukraine and China and things of that nature, actual corruption, because we know that Hunter Biden is a hot mess. We already know that. And I have my own opinions of Joe Biden. That whole family is just, there's something wrong with the family. There's definitely something wrong with the family. So I would be more interested if, and I'm sure it's in there, I would be more interested in actual, corruption. But that's what we know so far. I guess it's entertainment. It's just wild when you just see, in my opinion, Joe Biden getting elected was probably one of the worst things for Democrats, because it is really having that stark contrast with the Trump administration and with the Biden administration. It really is showing how hypocritical and how corrupt the Democrat Party is. I honestly think it was the worst thing for them, because it's just so obvious right now, seeing that contrast back to back. It's terrible for them. Yeah. All right. There is another interesting story that came out today, an update on the J6 hearings in Cassidy Hutchinson. So I'm just waiting for that to load, and then we'll look at that together. And I hadn't really talked about it since now President Trump can run again in 2024. Those will be really interesting primaries, the Democrat primaries and the Republican primaries. So Kamala Harris just recently said that, of course, I don't believe anything that comes out of her mouth, but she did recently say on an interview over the weekend that Biden does intend on running for president again in 2024, and that if he does, that she, of course, is going to be his running mate, which I just don't believe much that comes out of her mouth. That's just me. But I don't think his approval numbers came out today, and they're just awful. There he has a 33% approval rating, and it also said that 64% of Democrats would not vote for him again. So his odds of, if he does decide to run, his odds of actually becoming president are, in my opinion, slim. But I will say that those primaries, Democrat and Republican, are going to be very interesting, especially if Ron DeSantis tries to run. Yeah, I saw that. Okay, so it says Wyoming GOP Representative Liz Cheney, who serves as the vice chair of the Democrat-led January 6th committee, and her star witness Cassidy Hutchinson are facing serious questions following testimony last week. Hutchinson, a former aide to White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, testified before the committee during a special hearing on Tuesday, and many of her allegations against former President Donald Trump have been refuted as being outright lies. A new report reveals that Hutchinson went into hiding with her family and a security detail after her testimony almost 2 weeks ago. This is according to the New York Times. The Times reports that Hutchinson as unemployed and sequestered with family and security detail. At the hearing, Cheney displayed a handwritten note that Hutchinson testified she wrote after Meadows handed her a note card and pen to take his dictation, according to ABC News. Eric Hirschman, a former Trump White House lawyer, claims the note was written by him. Hutchinson, testifying about the note, said, That's a note I wrote at the direction of Chief of Staff on January 6th, likely around 3 o'clock. And it's written on the Chief of Staff note card, but that's your handwriting, Miss Hutchinson. Cheney then asked, That's my handwriting, Hutchinson answered. A spokesperson for Hirschman told ABC News the handwritten note that Cassidy Hutchinson testified was written by her was in fact written by Eric Hirschman on January 6, 2021. All sources with direct knowledge and law enforcement have been and will confirm that it was written by Mr. Hirschman. Nevertheless, U.S. Code Section 1621 of Title 18 stipulates that anyone who willfully and contrary to such oath states or subscribes any material matter which does not believe to be true is guilty of perjury and shall be fined or imprisoned up to 5 years or both. It is doubtful, however, that Hutchinson will be charged with lying to Congress under oath. Section 1001 stipulated that, however, in any matter within the jurisdiction of the executive, legislative, or judicial branch of the government of the United States knowingly and willfully falsifies or conceals information before a congressional committee may be fined or imprisoned up to 5 years. After Hutchinson's testimony, many of her salacious claims were rebuffed by those with the knowledge of what actually happened. Much of Hutchinson's testimony was hearsay and secondhand information that she heard from someone else but did not witness herself. One of the most spectacular parts of her testimony came when she accused Trump of grabbing the steering wheel of the presidential limo after being told that he could not go to the Capitol on January 6th, and then grabbing the throat of Secret Service agent Bobby Engel. But within hours of her testimony, this is why this whole hearing was it was just embarrassing. But within hours of her testimony, Engel said that the incident she spoke of never happened. Engel, the agent who was driving the presidential SUV, and Trump security official Tony Ornato both disputed Hutchinson's allegations and said they would testify under oath that no agent was assaulted by Trump and Trump never lunged at the steering wheel. The third official, former Trump White House lawyer Eric Hirschman, disputed Hutchinson's claim that she wrote a note for Trump to read on January 6th. For her part, Cheney is standing by Hutchinson despite almost all of her allegations being rebuked and disputed. Cheney told ABC's This Week that Cheney told ABC's This Week host Jonathan Karl that she is absolutely confident in Hutchinson's testimony. She is an incredibly brave young woman, Cheney continued. The committee is going to stand by and watch her character be the committee is not going to stand by and watch her character be assassinated by anonymous sources and by men who are claiming executive privilege. Oh, isn't that so convenient? By men who are claiming executive privilege. It doesn't really seem like she's being harassed, and if she is, that's wrong, obviously. But what I'm seeing on the internet are people that are saying, no, actually, I was there. Sorry, I was having some connection issues. It should be okay now. Yeah. Is not going to stand by and watch her character be assassinated by anonymous sources and by men. It's not just who are criticizing her, and valid criticism is very different than harassment. Those are two different things. And I see it as people criticizing that her story doesn't make sense, and people that have come out and said, I was there, that didn't happen, or that's not what I witnessed. Those are two different things. It goes on to say, for her part, Cheney is about to pay the price for her anti-Trump given crusade, given a poll that found she's down a whopping 30 points in her re-election bid in Wyoming against Trump-endorsed Harriet Hedgeman. I actually saw this too. There is a headline that said that Liz Cheney is one of the most unpopular politicians. So here's one of the criticisms. It says this is from ABC News, and it says, breaking, former White House lawyer Eric Hirschman says that it is not true that Cassidy Hutchinson wrote the handwritten note that she testified on Tuesday that she wrote. He says it's not true because he was the one who wrote the note. Another one was a source. So this is Peter Alexander. Who does he work for? I don't know who he works for, but Peter Alexander says a source close to the Secret Service tells me both Bobby Engel, the lead agent, and the presidential limousine SUV driver are prepared to testify under oath that neither man was assaulted and that Mr. Trump never lunged at the steering wheel. Here's another one by Betsy Woodruff Swan. USSS Spock's Anthony Giuliani tells me that in the 10 days before the Hutchinson hearing, the J6 committee did not reach out for more details regarding the Beast Ride. That's Politico. These aren't like, that was ABC, Politico, Peter Alexander, who I believe he's with a mainstream news outlet. These are not like right-leaning news publications. This is mainstream media even that's reporting on this. I don't see that. Harassment is wrong. It's always wrong. But these seem like legitimate questions in her story that are coming up. And what they're going to say, they're going to, oh, it's, men against a woman and they're, harassing. No, there's a difference between legitimate criticism and harassment. And here's an example of that. This whole Brett Kavanaugh Morton Steakhouse thing. The same people who are going to cry that they get... Hi, Kelly. I think we're good now. Hopefully that's the end of my buffering. I think I'm back. Still? On my end, it's good. Okay. I think I'm back. I'm back for me. Hopefully I'm back for you. But the people that will say that this is harassment for Cassidy Hutchinson will also excuse what happened to Brett Kavanaugh. I think I'm back. Okay. I don't know why I'm having trouble today. That stinks. So, over the weekend, Brett in Washington, D.C., and was basically harassed by a bunch of protesters. And keep in mind, Brett Kavanaugh had an actual threat against his life. Someone attempted to off him just a few weeks ago at his home. Keep that in mind. And Democrats refused to condemn this. So this is what happened over the weekend. And this is so crazy because first it was Brett Kavanaugh, and then Morton's Steakhouse actually got attacked for simply saying, hey, we're not political. We just want people to be able to eat at our restaurant in peace. So this is what's going on with Morton's Steakhouse. And by the way, all these Democrats are basically, including AOC, who always cries about January 6th, which the people that stormed into the Capitol that did bad things, I've always condemned that. It's bad, bad, bad. But I'm consistent. I think any form of harassment or protesting that's not peaceful and violating people's privacy, I think all of that is bad, not just when it's my side or that side. So a steakhouse chain is being flooded with phone calls and fake reservations over its defense of Associate Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh's right to eat dinner at one of its restaurants, where demonstrators gathered outside to protest his support overturning Roe versus Wade. Which, by the way, all of the overturning of Roe versus Wade did was kicked the legality back to the states. And even more conservative states, like for instance, Virginia, I think they're banning it past 15 weeks, which most people that are even pro-choice do not think that it should be legal past the first trimester. And even in some of our more conservative, restrictive states, we are still more liberal than many countries in Europe. But Democrats don't understand this, or people that are liberal don't understand this. Morton's this week sent a memo to its restaurant managers telling them to brace for more backlash to its remarks defending the jurist. Politico reported Saturday. Kavanaugh was one of 5 justices who voted last month to overturn Roe, the landmark 1973 decision that legalized abortion in the United States and afforded a constitutional right to the procedure. No, it didn't. This is what drives me so crazy, is the language that some of these people use. It was never a constitutional right. The Supreme Court does not have the authority to make something a constitutional right. That's why this whole ruling from the very beginning was bad. And Democrats had the chance to codify this into law. That the legislative branch is what codifies things into federal law. And Democrats had the opportunity to do this and they didn't. They had a supermajority under Barack Obama. If you know about the authority of the Supreme Court, if you know about the Roe versus Wade ruling, you know that it was on shaky ground from the very start, and it was only a matter of time before it got overturned, because that was an example of Supreme Court overreach. They do not have the authority to make things into law. Their only job is to rule in favor of the Constitution, of what's already in the Constitution. That's why, whether you are pro-choice or pro-life, even Ruth Bader Ginsburg herself knew that this was on shaky ground. So take the pro-life, pro-choice argument out of it, and the Supreme Court did their job. Whether you agree with it or not, they did their job, and it's up to the legislative branch to codify things into law. Under Barack Obama, they had a supermajority, and he said it wasn't on his list of priorities. They actually probably could have passed this under Joe Biden. With it was the Women's Protection Act, or it was something that they tried to pass through legislation. And honestly, I think that they would have had the votes, because Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema, I believe, are both pro-choice. But this was not a codification of Roe. This was an expansion of Roe, and that's what the problem was, because they had it. They wanted to make into federal law abortion. You could get an abortion past the point of viability. So that was a big problem. There was a lot of stuff in that bill. This, again, was the fault of the Democrats for overstepping their hand, for overplaying their hand, and having legislation that went too far, and then they weren't able to get the votes that they needed. So to me, this is the fault of the Democrats, all of this. But anyway, let's go back. I got sidetracked. Let's go back to Morton's Steakhouse. It says, currently, we are experiencing a massive wave. So this was in the memo of Morton's Steakhouse. And they said, currently, we are experiencing a massive wave of negative response to our comments yesterday, as well as being bombarded at the local level with phone calls. Thank you so much, Kelly, for Eva. Yay, she's sleeping right now. I'll get her to say hi in a minute. Thank you very much. Eva, you're going to get a new toy. I actually recently got her a new bed, and it's just like, it's like this Sherpa material, and under it's like, it has this crunchy noise, and it sounds like a plastic bag, and every time she sleeps on it and she gets up and moves, it sounds like someone's crumpling up a plastic bag, and I haven't gotten used to it yet, but she loves it. So basically what happened was a bunch of protesters were outside at Morton's Steakhouse while Kavanaugh was eating with his family. And Morton's, all they did was come out and say, look, we are not political. You can have any political belief you want. We want everyone to be able to come to our restaurant and eat and not be harassed. We don't care. We're not a political company. We are open to everyone. Everyone is invited here, and we will protect everyone's right, is what they said, to eat in peace regardless of your political leaning. So that was a very middle of the ground statement that they made, and it wasn't enough for Democrats. They're still being harassed because they decided to stay out of it. They decided to not be political about it. So this was their memo. Currently, we are experiencing a massive wave of negative response to our comments yesterday, as well as being bombarded at the local level with phone calls and fake reservations on OpenTable. And this was Scott Crane, the SVP and COO of Morton's. And he wrote this to restaurant managers in an email obtained by Politico. It also said, I am making you aware of this because there is good chances that your restaurants will also potentially have some people reaching out for comment and or making bogus reservations over the next few days. He goes on to say, as I stated yesterday, our comment is always no comment. We don't respond. We don't retweet. We don't post on Instagram or Facebook. We don't do anything. He said, again, we do not insert our political beliefs at any time. Not with an employee, not with a fellow manager, and most certainly not with a guest, which I think is an admirable stance to take. They go on to, so the article goes on to say, on Wednesday night, Kavanaugh, so this is what happened. On Wednesday night, Kavanaugh was dining at a Morton's restaurant in Washington, D.C., when protesters learned that he was at the establishment. A group gathered outside the restaurant to hold, A group gathered outside the restaurant and told the manager to kick him out. And Kavanaugh left through a back door at the restaurant. Following the incident, I'm laughing, it's not funny though. Following the incident, a Morton's representative told Politico that the actions of the group were void of decency. Honorable Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh and all of our other patrons at the restaurant were unduly harassed by unruly protesters while eating dinner at our Morton's restaurant. Politics, regardless of your side or views, should not trample the freedom at play of the right to congregate and eat dinner, a representative from the steakhouse told. I think that's a great stance to take. He said, there is a time and a place for everything. Disturbing the dinner of our customers was an act of selfishness and void of decency, the representative added. In addition to the phone calls and phony reservations, the Morton's restaurant where Kavanaugh dined has seen a handful of one-star Google reviews opposing its initial statement. The location's Yelp page has also temporarily stopped allowing people to post customer reviews due to increased public attention. Morton's did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Wow. I'm getting caught. Okay, my foot is asleep. My foot always goes to sleep because I sit weird. After yeah, but this is what's crazy. So they'll say, so they'll say that criticizing people online is harassment, but this is totally okay. Let me see if I can find. You'll love AOC's response. Let me see if I can find it. I like too many things on Twitter. Where is her? Okay, so this was AOC's response to what happened to Kavanaugh. So she says, poor guy, he left before his souffle because he decided half the country should risk death if they have an ectopic pregnancy within the wrong state lines. It's all very unfair to him. The least they could do is let him eat cake. By the way, this is the same person who cried about J6. By the way, I don't condone any violent things or any things that were not in line with peaceful protesting on J6, but the one who cries about it, and she wasn't even in the building. The one who, if you criticize her online, you're harassing her. And she was retweeting Andy Campbell, who said, Politico clutching pearls today after a handful of unruly protesters targeted Brett Kavanaugh by standing outside during his steak dinner. Just an absolutely terrifying night for Kavanaugh, who did not hear or see the protesters as he ate a full meal, but he left before dessert. And technically, okay, you don't have a right to eat dinner in the Constitution, but you do have a right not to be harassed, and you do have a right to privacy. And what precedent are they setting for everyone else? So if you disagree with anything any politician does, you have the right to follow them in public and harass them while they're eating dinner, or in the case of Kristen Sinema, while she was trying to go to the bathroom at Arizona State University while she was teaching a class. And actually, Joe Concha retweeted Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. He retweeted that, and he said, a sitting lawmaker advocates harassment of a sitting Supreme Court justice just weeks after a man was charged with attempted offing of said justice. Exactly. They are making the country worse. That's exactly what she's doing. Imagine, and AOC was making the point that this happens to her all the time, and sometimes they're even drunk and belligerent. I guarantee you, if this happened to AOC as much as she claims it does, you would hear about it nonstop. She would be posting about it nonstop. And don't tell me that she wouldn't. She would be. And here's Pete Buttigieg. By the way, this is Pete Buttigieg talking about what happened to Brett Kavanaugh.
Are you comfortable with protesters protesting when you and your husband go to dinner at a restaurant?
Protesting peacefully outside in a public space? Sure. Look, I can't even tell you the number of spaces, venues, and scenarios where I've been protested. And the bottom line is this. Any public figure should always, always be free from violence, intimidation, and harassment, but should never be free from criticism or people exercising their First Amendment rights.
Okay, except that whenever...
Yeah. And by the way, the Supreme Court justices are supposed to be protected from this because they don't want people to harass them or intimidate them into ruling a certain way. That's specifically why it is supposed to be against federal law to protest or picket near the home of a Supreme Court justice, because they don't want the justices to be swayed or intimidated into any sort of ruling. Harassing someone that we're having dinner is not peaceful protesting. Exactly. Peaceful protesting usually, in my opinion, is being in a public area where you have a permit, picketing, and then you go home at night and maybe come back the next day and get another permit and picket. No, I totally agree with you, Kelly. It is not, harassing someone while they're eating dinner is not peacefully protesting. That to me is intimidation and harassment. You're right. But do you see what they do? Like, they okay these things, and then it starts to get normalized. And at what point is enough enough? This is also what they did the entire summer of 2020. They just justified all of the protesting. And what really, if you want to know who these people really are, think about it. When the whole summer of 2020, when just regular Americans were being targeted in their cities, whether it was Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, it was Austin, Dallas. I mean, there were protests that were exploding everywhere, and a lot of them did get very dangerous. We've talked about this extensively on this channel, but when it was happening to regular people, it was, it's just the voice of the unheard. Who was it? Chris Cuomo. Who says that protests are supposed to be peaceful? It was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez who said that protests were supposed to make people uncomfortable. And then when it happened to them, which, by the way, I don't condone, I'm consistent. I don't like any protests that get out of hand or that break into areas. But then when it happened to them in DC, all of a sudden now it mattered. And oh my gosh. When they literally egged it on all summer when it was happening to regular Americans. Chris Cuomo got fired 2 years too late. There was this viral TikTok that went around of Chris Cuomo saying that. And then it was this kid eating ramen noodles and was like, well, it's actually in the Constitution. He said, where does it say that protests should be peaceful? And he goes, actually, it says it in the Constitution, Mr. Cuomo. It does. Yeah, Jennifer just said, if it was one of the liberal Supreme Court justices, it would be a huge deal. Totally agree with you. And if it was one of them, it would be a huge deal. That's why I don't... What else did AOC say? Let me see if I can find it. Oh, she says, okay, so she made that comment. Poor guy, he left before his souffle because he decided half the country should risk death if they have an ectopic pregnancy, which, by the way, that's not even true. What she said is absolutely not true. Within the wrong state lines, it's all very unfair to him. At least, the least they could do is let him eat cake. And then she goes on to say, I will never understand the pearl clutching over these protests. Republicans send people to protest me all the time, sometimes even drunk and belligerent. Nobody cares about it unless it's a Republican in a restaurant. Can someone please explain the obsession? Because I don't get it. I guarantee you, if that happened to AOC, like she says it happens, that's all we would hear about from her. I guarantee you. I was looking at some of her replies. Someone said, I don't think anyone should get harassed at a restaurant. Crazy, huh? Exactly. I don't think AOC should get harassed at a restaurant. I don't think anyone should. I don't think that's a crazy stance to have. We want to live in a civil society, and we don't want to live in a society where a Supreme Court justice can be intimidated by a crazy mob who probably they probably don't even understand the ruling in the first place. Yes, even when AOC eats in Florida. Exactly. Even when AOC hypocritically goes to Florida and vacations and eats at a restaurant with her boyfriend who isn't wearing shoes, I still think that she should have a right to do that and not be harassed. Yeah, a state that she hates. I know. I want to know how many people went to Florida. Florida, the death state, with Death Santis, as they call him. Yet they go and enjoy all the freedoms of Florida. I don't know if you guys saw Gavin Newsom's ad. We played it the other day where he was saying, come to California, the state of freedom. Are you kidding me? She says she hates Florida. Her actions say otherwise. Yes. But she has a right to be a hypocrite, right? I live in Florida. DeSantis is awesome. Have you seen, okay, Roscoe, have you seen the Gavin Newsom ad playing in Florida? So yes, Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, has political ads that he's playing in Florida saying, hey, Floridians, why don't you come live the California dream where we're free? How funny is that? How many people escaped from California to Florida? Like, people are leaving his state to go to Florida because it's more free. Get robbed today, move to California. Exactly. Oh, there was actually, this is crazy. Hold on, I'm going to tell you this story. Speaking of California and how dangerous it is, let me find it. So, this girl, she made a video. Let me see if I can play it for you.
I was saying goodbye to a friend, and
hopefully you can hear her, but if you can't, I'll tell you what she said. It's only like 40 seconds. Yeah.
Lunch. As I was leaving lunch, I was outside and I was saying goodbye to a friend, and this homeless man ran up. He had something in his hand he was outside of the car in the street, and he just like looked at me with some pretty hateful eyes. And as I turned to go tell my friend, I think something's like wrong with.
Okay, so basically this is an Olympian. Olympic medalist Kim Glass was brutally attacked by a homeless man in Los Angeles, California, after having lunch with friends. She says the homeless man had some sort of metal pipe. Random acts of violence are rampant in the increasing homeless community and soft on crime DAs. So I'm going to show you the picture of her. Warning, it's kind of graphic, but look how bad she was hurt. Oh, she could have lost her eye. But this happens a lot in California. You have people that are homeless, people that are mentally ill and on drugs, and they're completely unstable and just randomly attack. Just completely random. I used to see it myself. There were a few times when I was living in West Hollywood where I was walking home just from the grocery store, and I actually had to change routes because I would see a homeless man just angry and yelling and throwing stuff into the street, and it's very scary. That's what happened to the nurse. She was 70 years old, and really, really sad too. She had been a nurse her whole life. 70 years old. She was either going to or coming from work, and she was at a bus station, and was just standing there, and a homeless man just randomly pushed her, and she fell and just hit her head in a way that she lost her life. And that, again, was a random attack. Here's more to that story. Kim Glass took to her Instagram to let her followers know that she's okay. The cops were called. Her vision, she says, will be fine, but received stitches and had multiple fractures above and under her eye. She warns everyone to be safe out there when in Los Angeles. Somebody said, I thought Los Angeles banned metal pipes already. Not funny. And then someone said, speaking of the ads in Florida, someone said, Gavin Newsom will respond to this by running another attack ad in the state of Florida. And this is what the criticism is. There's so many problems in his state. The middle class is leaving. The wealth gap is getting larger. It's the poor and the rich. That's eventually what you're going to have in California. Crime is up. Homelessness is up. Homelessness decreased 18% in all of the U.S., but decreased 18% in all of the U.S., but increased by 30% in the state of California. Homelessness is bad. Cost of living, taxes, everything. And this is what he does. And then he spends his time doing an attack ad that's airing in Florida rather than facing what's going on in his country. And don't forget, Gavin Newsom wants to run for president. And I have a feeling, and I think it's been confirmed by a few people, but I think he is going to primary for 2024. He wants to be president. That's why he's doing these attack ads in Florida. That's why he's always talking about national issues, yet forgetting about his own country. This guy is as corrupt as it gets. And we sit here, we make fun of what a bad job he does in California all the time, but do not underestimate his ability to charm people and his ability to get people on his side. So, imagine. Oh, Kelly, thank you so much. Sorry, sweetie, I have company. I have to go. Goodbye, Sarah. Great chat. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you so much, Kelly. I very much appreciate that and enjoy your company. Thank you for hanging out for a little bit. Bye. Oh, this is really interesting. Yes, bye, Kelly. Have fun. I don't know if she's still here or not. Yeah, we're still here. I think, Clown Man, I think I saw what you just said. Thank you very much. I just read it. I didn't read it out loud because I was trying to concentrate on reading what you said. Thank you very much for that. Was that Clown Man? Bye, Kelly. Howdy, Sarah. Howdy, walkie-talkie. Any fortune cookie quotes from Kamala lately? Oh, yes. Yes. There was another one today. I'm not even kidding. There's been one like every day. It's glorious. I read that, Clown Man. Thank you. Yes, there was another one today. Hold on. I get way too excited about this. I need to go outside. I'm going to go outside today. Kamala. Okay. Was this today? Yeah, this was today. Okay, this is what she said. Kamala Harris, quote, "We would not be here were it not for the vision, the courage, the unwavering determination of the one particular individual." Oh, that wasn't as good as usual. Darn it, I thought it was going to be better. But she said, "We would not be here today were it not for the vision, the courage, the unwavering determination of one particular individual, Joe Biden." Agree or disagree? Let me see if I can play that. Darn it, I thought it was going to be one of her, the passage of time. All we are is dust in the wind. Wherever you go, there you are.
But as all of us know, gathered here today, we would not be here were it not for the vision, the courage, the unwavering determination of one particular individual, Joe Biden.
Does she believe that? Yes or no? She's like, oh, I hate my life. Imagine like wanting to be the vice president so bad and just wanting to climb that political ladder so bad. And then you have to be the vice president for Joe Biden. Imagine that. Because I care enough to send the very best. It was nice being here with you guys. Have a blessed day. Okay, bye. Thank you for joining. Wait, is it time to read the passage of time? I think it is. Yes, we're going to do that. I'm going to read it to you. It's time to read the passage of time. I don't know about you, but I say it every morning when I wake up and then every night before I go to bed. Kamala's Hallmark greeting card quotes. Yeah. Deep. Wait, who was it? I think it's The Blaze. They have Veep Thoughts with Kamala Harris. The significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance in the passage of time. Beautiful. I'm a different person now. I'm confused. Did Camel Toe get the short end of the stick? I didn't see the rest of your comment. Oh, man. I mean, I will say, though, you always have to look at the silver lining, right? The silver lining is there's always material with this with this administration. Oh my gosh. Oh, here's a Joe Biden gaffe. Pray. Joe Biden says the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School.
Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, 1918. 17 dead, 17 injured.
It happened in 2018. Oh, is today the anniversary of the Parkland shooting? Is that what it is? The passage of gas? Play. So he said that the Parkland shooting happened in 1918. We are here because of one man, his unwavering strength. He also said he was running for the Senate in 2021. Oh yes, deep dive. Wait, hold on. Democrat. So Joe Biden, his unwavering strength. This is someone who voted for Biden.
So back in 2020, it was the first time I ever actually decided to vote, and I did vote for Joe Biden because of all the promises he had made. His main point was he's going to help the poor people, but and that the stimulus check. But we didn't get the full stimulus check that he had promised us. He didn't keep any of his promises. He's not helping the poor. The poor are getting poorer. I'm poor, and I'm getting poorer, so I can barely afford to eat. Groceries are expensive. Gas is expensive. Like, how is gas $5 a gallon?
You know, it's so sad when I hear people talk about the stimulus checks, because that's one of the reasons why inflation is so high right now. Like and that's what they do. They basically bank on the fact that they bank on people not being very smart and not understanding how all of that works, not understanding basic economics. They printed so much money, it basically devalued the money. And a lot of an inflation happens when you have fewer products and a higher demand. So that the very thing that one of the reasons that she voted for Biden, she said there was this promise of stimulus checks coming, which what were they? Were they like $2,000 if I remember correctly? And it's so sad that $2,000, the promise of $2,000, which doesn't go very far nowadays. Yeah, it can help you, but it doesn't go very far. And the promise of that is one of the reasons that you voted for Joe Biden. Not only did you not get that full amount, but that's one of the things that has contributed to the devaluing of the dollar. It's this reckless spending by our government. And it's really sad. And people just don't understand the basics of how things work. When you keep printing money, it's just going to devalue the dollar. And he doesn't want to produce energy, right? And isn't that interesting too? No, thank you for pointing that out also, because she's talking about the high gas prices, and I guarantee you, I obviously don't know, but it's the same people who this hurts the most, who are like, oh yeah, we need to protect the environment. We can't do fracking. We can't do any of that. Yet that's what's causing a lot of the high gas prices is that we're not doing this in America. Biden canceled all of these oil leases, canceled refinery expansions, is selling some of our oil to China and Europe and other Asian countries. So, all of that, what you voted for, is actually hurting you. It's really sad because it bothers me because I don't know. I think the more I learn about this stuff and the ins and outs of all of this, and I learn how things work, it really hurts me when people are so fooled by these false promises. And they don't understand the unintended, well, not unintended for the people in office, but for them, the unintended consequences of these things that they're being sold as social justice, or I'm going to give you a $2,000 check. And one $2,000 check. And I guess when you're struggling to make ends meet, $2,000 sounds like a lot of money. It sounds really good. But one $2,000 check is only going to help you for what? I don't know. How far could you stretch that? Maybe if you used it for like grocery money or something like that, you could stretch it for a few months, or it could help you on one rent payment, or maybe two rent payments, or a set of bills that you're behind on. But it's not going to help your situation in the long term. Keyboard is sticking? Are you talking to me? I'm not using my keyboard. No, you're not talking to me. About 1 month, Sarah. Here in BC, it would last 1 month. Yeah, and that's one stimulus check. And one stimulus check is going to sway your whole vote. And nothing comes for free, by the way. Nothing comes for free, because all of those stimulus checks, what's the long-term effect on our economy that all of that printing of money and all of that government spending had? Oh, wait, this is her. Is this the same person? Hold on. This might be the same person. I don't know if this is... No, this is a different person, but this is another person. So I guess Fox News is doing this thing where they're interviewing all these people that voted for Biden and that regret it now. So this is another person. This is interesting. Oh, now you're not going to play. You just played. He also...
started noticing that I made a huge mistake voting for Biden.
I don't know what that was. He also promised debt relief. Yeah.
Started noticing that I made a huge mistake voting for Biden. Really just a couple of months after Biden took office. And it was a combination of a number of things. Part of it was just the handling of the pandemic. It was the handling of the economy. It's inflation. It's because I voted for someone who's essentially furthering Marxist ideas in our country that I regret voting for him. I mean, it really was a terrible choice. Started noticing that I made a huge mistake voting for Biden.
Interesting. There was 3 videos they played yesterday. I'm trying to get this other video to play. There's another one. It's just sad because I think for all of us, like all of these things were so obvious, like the push for Marxism. I mean, that really has taken over the Democratic Party. Although I will say, oh, here's another one.
Especially I say specifically for Black people. And I kind of had that, I was programmed in a sense with that Democratic, savior type of situation. Going in the, the 2020 election, I was all for Biden. That's who I voted for. I was like, okay, Biden's gonna change. He's for everyone. And I was underneath the impression that he was going to do what he was gonna say he was gonna do, and not be lying. I just found out the hard way, unfortunately, that Biden isn't who he says he is, and that it seems like Democrats, in a sense, they just want to keep us in the same spot, in the same place, more so dependent on them, dependent on the government. And I just feel like, as a whole, we're just stagnant. Black people, we're trapped in the vicious cycle of believing what Democrats tell us. And that's what I was for my whole entire life. Believed everything they told me. I believe they're going to make things better. And if you look at the track record of history, they really haven't. They haven't done anything for us, for anybody, really.
They want us mad, divided, angry. Yeah, I mean, it was so obvious to a lot of us, but if you're not, fully in it, I guess you wouldn't see that. Tim Pool says, how are they going to ignore all these photos of Hunter? This is effing crazy. Yeah. Oh, speaking of Biden's stimulus plan, speaking of the stimulus checks, Fox News, millions of dollars from Biden's $1.9 trillion stimulus was given to museums to indoctrinate kids into CRT. $49K for a CRT field trip, $43K to train tour guides in CRT, $50K to produce CRT content, $50K to build a 9-foot bronze statue. So there you go. There's that government spending that was guised as, there's that reckless government spending that was guised as stimulus. All right, well, thank you everyone for joining. That was a lot of fun. Gavin is Pelosi. Yes, but I almost think, well, I don't know who's worse. That's a good, I don't know who's worse. That's a tough one. All right, thank you very much, you guys, for joining, and I will see you later. Wow, we are going in overtime today. Yeah, I went for 12 minutes over. That's not that much. My goal is 2 hours. My goal is 2 hours. Okay, I'll be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, all the museum stimulus. Well, that's what it was basically for CRT and museums. Joe hates overtime. All right, thank you all for joining. I really appreciate it. That was fun, and I'll be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. if you want to join as well. All right, thank you all. Bye.